leadership, his stalwart leadership, and all those that serve with us in this so worthy a cause and endeavor. We thank God for our chair for the coalition, Dr. Haynes, and there'll be other announcements tonight relative to that. Thank God for Dr. Bethel, our president of the AMA, Joyce Harris, amen, the co-chair for the African American Alliance, and also for Joanne Bowman, executive director for Oregon Action, and my friend, Pastor Weisner, who just continues to soar in the Lord and in the service of his people. And for you, the Lord's people, thank you so much for being with us tonight. Give the Lord a hand clap for yourself.
Joyce, because I don't think they heard you. Joyce said, good evening.
Good evening.
I'm Joanne Bowman. I'm the executive director of Oregon Action.
And we balance out the brothers. And I also want to echo what's been said earlier. AMA, Dr. Bethel, Dr. Haynes have been in this struggle for a while. It's not an easy struggle. It's not something that they want to have to do, but they know they're called to do. And I hope that all of you continue to support the work of the AMA Coalition for Justice and Police Reform. Most definitely. I would like to call up a young lady who has the distinction of having been the youngest NAACP president in the country several years ago. And I hope that you will listen to her message, because I've talked with her several times over the last couple of weeks since this happened. She is a mother of a, he's 2-year-old, is he 2 years old yet? He's still 1. So I'm going to ask Sister Charlene McGee to please come forward and share
Good afternoon, or good evening.
Good evening.
So my younger brother was supposed to speak, but he sent his apologies because his baby is due any second now, so he needs to be close to home. But my name is Charlene, and when I got this call tonight, usually before I speak, you always write out what you're going to speak. But I think tonight I'm just really going to speak from my heart. And yes, I am the new generation, and I recognize that. But I think even more importantly tonight, I'm standing here before you as the mother to a black son. Actually today, more than any other time, I have more of a correct reason to say why I couldn't do it, because my son has been really sick, but he's going to be okay. All this week. But I knew that I had to be here to speak up for him. I remember when I was pregnant, I decided not to find the sex of my baby just because I wanted to do the whole natural process. And I remember distinctly laying on the operating room table because I had a C-section. And the first words I heard of the doctor's mouth was, wow, this baby has a lot of hair. And the next thing was, it's a boy. And the next second after that, the fear that I felt was like, wow, I'm raising a black son in America. And for that very reason I felt is the reason why we're here today. Definitely, you're living my nightmare. I just cannot imagine, because my son is my world. My nephews are my world. I just can't even imagine that. But I stand here today to say that you too are leaders. Yes, we're here today because the Vitamin Minister Alliance have organized this. And the Alliance have been doing this work, Oregon Action have been doing this work, but you too need to take on a leadership role to make sure that this does not fall off the agenda of our elected officials. Do you know who the commissioner over police are? You elect these people. Talk to them, call, show up in City Hall. We cannot have this anymore. But to continue to lose the young generation, I work for the health department, and we hear all the time about health disparities, and we see the over-incarceration of black men. We see the over-incarceration of black women now. We hear about the high rates of HIV. All of these things don't happen by accident in our community. There are things that are in place, and it's for us, the people, to stand and mobilize and to really advocate to change the system. You know, elected officials can only do so much. They can do it because they need to have this church filled. You know, like I am from the generation, yes, we have MySpace, YouTube, Facebook, texting, and all this. For Martin Luther King, look at what he did. Look at the magnitude of that generation. Look at the magnitude of those shoulders that we stand on. They did all that with less level of technology that we have today. So I say we have to keep the fight going. I want my son, who's 21 months old, not too yet, so that his generation will not have to deal or encounter this. You know, just like even today before I came, I went home, and I have a 6-year-old nephew that I love and adore. He's 6 3/4. We went walking around in the neighborhood, and as we're driving by, a police officer pulled up. You know, he rolled down his window, he handed me a sticker, and then I looked at the officer. I was like, you know, look how pleasant this interaction is on how you're interacting with this 6-year-old black male. I was like, but at what point would this cute, adorable child become a threat to you? You know, it's for us to, you know, and he looked back and he was like, you know, that's very true. He said, but not all of us are like that. You know, we can take whatever he perceived by that statement, but, you know, I think there's a huge fear. We don't talk about it enough. There's a huge fear within the media that people are made to be afraid of black men. People are made to be afraid of black men. You know, so yet, despite all the challenges and struggles that we might face as people, we just need to know and realize that we have to hold every facet of our community accountable. It's us as individuals, it's us as mothers, aunts, fathers, grandfathers, teachers, but we also have to talk about the media, the portrayal of how they portray black men to be dangerous. Like I, you know, have my new saying, I'm like, black boys are precious too. You know, I think we have this thing where we automatically want to protect our girls, rightfully so, but we also have to protect our boys. And it's up to your voice to be that. And I'll say, yes, I do hope that with my son and my nephew and the generations to come after that, indeed a new day has truly arrived. And know and realize that that new day begins with you. It doesn't just stop up here. It starts with you and it ends with you. So thank you very much. Like I said, you know, I mean, our generation is also about the hope and change. And I said we have to keep those alive. But at the same time, realizing that with that comes work. With that comes being tired, but you still have to get up. And you still have to do it. You know, you might be tired, you might be burned up, but we cannot lose sight because we do need to create a new day for our community and the generations thereafter. Thank you very much.